Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tom. It's September 2017, hard to believe. And I wanted to bring one story, maybe two stories to your attention this morning. This from the Daily Caller. Comey drafted statement clearing Hillary Clinton before interviewing key witnesses. As FBI director last year, James Comey began writing drafts of a statement exonerating Hillary Clinton even before all witnesses in the investigation, including Clinton herself, had been interviewed. The Senate Judiciary Committee obtained the Comey memos as part of its investigation into its firing by President Trump, which occurred on May 9th. The revelation that Comey had begun drafting memos of his exoneration statement comes from transcripts of interviews given last fall by two FBI officials, James Rebecki, Comey's chief of staff, and Tricia Anderson, the principal deputy general counsel of national security and cyber law at the FBI, gave the interviews as part of an investigation conducted by the Office of Special Counsel into the FBI's handling of the Clinton email investigation. Basically, it would go on to say that the two former FBI officials testified that James Comey actually wrote up a memo exonerating Hillary Clinton from crimes related to her illegal email server and sending of classified emails on declassified channels, before he interviewed 17, or the FBI interviewed 17 key witnesses and Hillary Clinton herself. So, as per usual, it appears that the fix was in, and that James Comey had decided that, who has ties to the Clintons, specifically through his brother, I believe, and something through HSBC Bank, don't quote me at the moment, had decided that Hillary Clinton would be exonerated from her alleged crimes before an investigation even took place. And this is a great lesson because it shows once again that what's going on behind the scenes is different from what we're getting in the public. Because behind the scenes, Comey is writing up a letter exonerating Hillary Clinton from any crimes before an investigation even takes place, and Department of Justice head Loretta Lynch is meeting with Bill Clinton on a private tarmac at an airport, discussing the case before any decision is actually made. And this goes to show that a lot of what we actually see on television is just political theater. It's just a show, and what's going to happen is decided long before an investigation even takes place. And this is the second story this week that goes along those lines. The DNC fraud lawsuit was also thrown out. For those of you not aware of the suit, it was basically filed by Bernie Sanders supporters who had given money to Bernie Sanders during the 2016 Democratic presidential primary, and they sued the Democratic Party saying that they gave that money to Sanders under the pretense that it was a fair primary and that the people would vote for the presidential nominee, and in reality, Hillary Clinton was predetermined as the winner by the Democratic Party, so why was the party taking donations for Bernie Sanders? As part of the lawsuit, I actually did a report on this in depth where I get into the court documents. The DNC, their lawyer, the Democratic Party, actually argued that they had every right to fix their primary and that they can pick their candidate in a back room with no votes ever being cast. And apparently the federal judge ruled that not only was he going to throw out the case, but the DNC did in fact have the right to choose Hillary Clinton as their candidate with no votes ever being casted. So, as I'm sure you already suspected, our votes are an illusion. What we get on TV is an illusion, and it really goes to show you just how corrupt our system has become. And if we could take any core message away from this, I hope it would be that all of these politicians, these political parties are, and in this case, very clearly the Democratic Party, are extremely corrupt. And when they're going on TV and telling you that they care about you, don't buy into it. And all they're ever vying for is more power. And we could go in two directions in this country. We can either decide to give them more power, and if we give them more power, they'll do what they usually do. They will show that they're corrupt, and they will use that power for their own personal gain. Or we can vote for the limitation of government power. We can give government power back to the states, back to the local level, because the more local government gets, the more of a say that you, the people, have. We, the people, have. And of course, nothing will ever change if we keep the power at the federal level and we continue to give these politicians more power. The truth is, the old saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts, absolutely is true, which is why whenever there's more government, there's more human death. There's more death under communism than there is under socialism. Fascism is just another form of collectivism, which is big government, and none of these politicians are held accountable. Donald Trump ran on a platform of drain the swamp. Well, Jeff Sessions, if you're out there, it's very clear that the swamp starts with Hillary Clinton, so that would be a great place to start draining it. But these politicians, they don't hold each other accountable because they know if one of them gets held accountable, then another one might, and they're all corrupt, so they don't want to prosecute one another. A great example of just how deep this corruption goes, Dennis Hastert, the ex-Republican Speaker of the House, actually raped boys as young as 11 years old, and the most he's done is 1 year in prison, and he's actually suing the boy that he raped. So it's very rare that politicians are held accountable, yet you'll hear them go on TV all the time talking about regular citizens saying, we need to make an example of this criminal. Well, the worst criminals, the true crime families in America, are the ones that get political power because they operate above the law. And until they are held accountable, until they have to operate under the same laws that we, the people, operate under, they're going to continue to abuse we, the people. And they're going to continue to accumulate more power by pointing out some type of social problem, usually a problem that the government themselves creates, saying that they need to tax the people more, they need to regulate the people more, when in reality they're robbing the people at gunpoint, taking away wealth, taking away upward mobility, and they are regulating competition out of society for their oligarchical masters who don't want mom and pop shops to be able to compete, destroying the middle class. And this cycle will continue to happen until people see that the very problem is government, because all I see is these young people being violent and protesting against everything, calling for larger and larger government, calling for government to solve their problems, not realizing that government itself is the problem. The very nature of power is the problem. It's why we created a system of checks and balances, and it's not a perfect system because the corporations have been able to hijack the government and really mitigate that system of checks and balances, but it's still a better start than you get most places in the world. And if we can get back to smaller government, if we could get back to limited power, then the power will swing in a pendulum back toward the people. Because when we have the power, when people have choice, we will raise society. And many of these problems that government creates themselves and claims that they are going to fix can be fixed so much better by the American people if we just had the power to do so. Subscribe, share, and gain exclusive access for as little as $1 a month at www.patreon.com.